Okay guys, welcome. So in this production today, we're going to go through some casting. Now in the last couple of weeks, I've gone through the pendulum cast with you, and we've been down already. Adam's turned up to do a demonstration for you today on the layback cast, and we're going to do a little bit of talk about timing and how crucial it is. And at the end of the day, it's learning. And me personally, unless I've got a lot of room behind me to pendulum cast, I can't get the distance I really want. I can do an overhead thumb, I can do that thing, I can get it out there, but I can't go it in the same distance, like 160, 170 yards, unless I've got room to do so. So I know with the layback cast, you don't necessarily need it. And a lot of guys don't want to learn the pendulum cast. It's a really good, and if you're fishing with not a lot of room behind you, the layback cast is a fantastic cast to do to get the distance you need, because you're running the lead from left to right and then picking it up as it drops, okay? So that's what we're about to go through today. So we're going to be using the Tip Tornado Graphic Sport, and that's what I'm going to be using anyway. And Adam's got his T1000s down here. We've also got OnlyFins down here with his Zocron 435s, and we are going to have a little play today. So me and Connor, I've done the layback cast with Adam many years ago. I get the gist of it and I know how to do it. I just don't do it that often. I sometimes do it. I was doing it with the travel rods I'd done, just because I didn't want to pendulum cast them like that. But they were handling it fine. But it was just easier just to load. But it's something that I would like to master, if I'm honest. So we're going to go through the layback cast today. Hopefully Connor can pick it up and I can pick it up to the full potential, and we can get right into it. So let's go. Okay guys, so layback cast. So obviously you've over the years learned, so when you first started fishing, you off the ground in or just overhead thumping?
I started off the ground.
Off the ground?
Yeah, then I went into...
Did you get lessons straight away going back then?
I had lessons from the start.
You were lucky to have
I was
people
lucky
around
to have
you.
people around me.
Yeah, so growing up, your sort of inspirations to your casting background is behind people like...
Andy Coppin.
Andy Coppin.
Yeah, he's the main one. Paul Baker.
Paul Baker.
Yeah. Matt Westwood. You know, it's the list goes on. But
yeah.
I've.
So in your little group at the time, you had yourself, Matt Skelly.
Yeah. Myself. There was Matt, Paul Baker, Andy. We used to go off to a few fields and practicing. Yeah. Even Steve Ford was with us.
Yeah. So going back. How old were you then? But you've been fishing all your life, really.
Yeah, I started. My first ever tournament was probably I must have been about 15.
15.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm now 40. Yeah, there's a few on and off, that is. I've not gone like constantly. You know, I have breaks.
Yeah.
You know, I went back. I think it was last year or year before. I took it up quite seriously again.
It's something.
And then I've backed off again a bit, and I'll probably get back into it again. And
it's this time of year for us, isn't it?
Yeah,
it comes up. None of us like floundering and that.
It's addictive. I love it. You know, I don't know why I stopped. I should just keep going. But
when you're good at something like that, it's silly not to stop.
Yeah, it's just one of them, isn't it? Just life.
How long did it take you to get up to?
To where I am, to where this is now.
So where you like because you're not in your prime.
Oh,
now.
It's not a 10 minutes.
You were in your prime many years ago, weren't you?
Yeah, it can take.
How old were you when you were in your prime, like when you were in your 319s and that?
It was about a good. I think it probably must be nearly 8 or 10 years ago now.
Do you think you could get yourself back to that? Is that due to your age and fitness at the time?
No, it's
gym.
No, maybe a little bit of gym work.
Gym helps.
Not massively.
No,
it doesn't. It's all if you got your timing right.
Yeah.
And you're hitting it correctly. Anyone can do it. You don't have to go to the gym. Oh, if you got that as well, it helps. But
do you think you could get yourself back up to that level?
Last year, I was back in the. It didn't take long. I went straight back into. I think I had a couple 90s, nearly 3s, and that was on the rollover cast. So I'm quite happy to. I've got 2 styles there, which takes. Do
you feel if you, with the rollover cast now, you could do better than you've done before? Because what you showed me is what you got your 319 with, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon I could have done better with it.
Yeah?
I reckon I can do better with it. That's a lovely way
cast. We've got a fellow friend turned up today. We'll get us all in the mix. It's nice to get everybody together. Connor and Stu had met up. So Stu Norris has turned up in the background. I know. He's turned up like Batman. But yeah, so So really, so the rollover cut would
I
do
really
better.
do prefer the rollover
Yeah.
cast. Yeah, it's slow. It's like slow in, fast out, and when you nail that timing on it, it
Yeah.
feels so easy. And like I say, you very rarely hit the ground with it because you got much more time with it. The drop's longer.
Yeah.
It's just an all-over nicer cast. Your lead's in a better position. It's there's less like force behind it, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. I really like it.
It always, because I'm not a tournament caster, I'm a fisherman, but it really amazes me what everybody, like you watch all you big tournament casters, like you, Jay, Jason Carter, Andy
Everyone's
Coppin,
different.
everybody's got their own initial
yeah.
form of cast, where they get their power.
Yeah.
And I was watching them on the other day, there was something Kelly, I was watching some guy, and his cast was like completely again.
Yeah,
I was like,
everybody's different.
absolutely unreal.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
the fundamentals are all still the
same.
same. So, you know, there's no two people cast the same.
No.
There never has been and never will be. You
No.
know, everyone's different, but you know, it's just it's still got to be, you know, the same between a. I keep saying this, but it's always about lead positioning and lead speed.
That's the first thing I want to go through before
And
we
that-
go for any forwards. I was talking the other day about timing,
It's all about timing.
and obviously
People seem to think that you got to force the lead around.
No.
You don't. It's the lead can travel nice and slow around, and you pick it up on the way. You know, it's not
one
about.
of my first common mistakes when you told me, you were saying you're casting off the tip hand, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What's casting off the tip?" And you explained that to me,
Yeah.
and I want you to explain to the viewers really,
Yeah,
because
no, I will, yeah.
casting off the tip is
Yeah.
is a big thing which
Well, it's the thing,
get
isn't it?
people distance, but if they're not getting into that midsection,
No, I mean
They're
it's
missing
like,
out.
You know, casting inside the tip, it's it does get the bait out there.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but you're not.
Loading
You
the
got
rod.
to find that you've got to put a lot in
yeah,
to get
Yeah.
a lot out.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. With it done properly, you put less in and get more out.
you're using the rod
You're using the
compressed
rod.
from
The rod's a tool,
reel,
and you've got to use it.
Yeah.
It's it is critical. It
Yeah.
is, and also it's how, you know, most rod breaks are due to
off the tip.
off the tip casting. You know, rods don't break very often these days.
No, but
casting,
they're basically bending from the.
But yeah, they
all
do.
of the
So
tip
you know, if you've got your lead tucked in here or above your head, but inside that arc, your tip will come back on itself. So you'll have a straight midsection, but the tip will come right inside itself towards the lead.
Yeah.
And that's where the snaps normally go.
Yeah.
You know, and when you got something like a T9,
You're not generating.
You're
You're
not-
not generating you're not working the rod properly. And like I said to Adam, and I hated the T9 when I first used it. And then when he got him again, he was like, "Have a go at that." And I said, "I didn't like it before because I was casting off the tip before. My lead would go in right and left because there was no control in it. It was all glass tip. As soon as I got into that midsection, I love the rod. It's probably my favourite rod.
yeah,
And
they're
just,
lovely, aren't they?
just like I was explaining to the viewers, just to be able to get into that midsection, it will show you what rods can do, and you can get a good feel
Yeah.
of it. You can't
You
feel
know,
it
you
by
shouldn't
the
be
tip.
beaten up by a rod. I mean, all right, there are two
T12s.
different rods for two you know,
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
rods are too stiff
Yeah.
for casting with for
Yeah.
people, unless you're doing it correctly. But it's like if you had you know, when I have a go with a T12, it is a stiff rod and you do feel it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not as stiff as what it would be if you were casting it wrong. So,
Adam took me down and had a go with the rollover, and he had his T12 there, and he said, "Have a go with this." And I'd done my cast originally with the T12, and he said, "No, have a go at gas with this." And I hit one right, and you can feel it. As it releases it, you can feel it. And I know when some people say a rod can put you on the ass, it can quite
do.
easily
Yeah.
put you on your backside because it is when it goes, you've got all that power releasing, and you've got to control it. But
you find that with the stiffer rods, you need longer drops anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you have a too short a drop, then you're going to hurt yourself.
So this is where the layback cast comes into it now, because
Yeah,
you can use no matter what length drop you want,
So,
and it doesn't make no difference if you've
No,
got
I mean-
6 or 7 yards behind you.
you know, it's the same with all rods. You know, the shorter the drop, the stiffer the rod.
Yeah.
It's always the same. So you want to go for that mid-range.
Yeah.
You know, I quite like having quite a long drop.
Yeah. What we do is
you know,
you get your T1000 in the mix quickly, and then we can go through the drop and that.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, the drops vary on the way you're fishing, doesn't it? You
Yeah,
know, if you've got
yeah.
rocks behind you, then you've got to shorten it.
shorten it.
it's,
But your shortest will be half the rod length.
yeah.
Yeah,
if
you
that.
try and get it down,
Yeah, I
yeah.
try to get it a little bit further down. Yeah.
Let's get into it.